Hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Wendy Finch and I am the Marketing Director here at TopCon Solutions Store. We're very excited to have a large group on today's presentation, literally spanning the entire U.S. So this is very exciting for us that this is a topic of great interest. So TopCon Solutions is owned by parent company TopCon Positioning, who designs, manufactures, and distributes precision measurements and workflow solutions for the global construction, geospatial, and agricultural markets. TopCon Solutions is a group of independent TopCon dealers who have been acquired over the past several years to come together under the TopCon umbrella, combining resources and workflow collaboration with the purpose of providing a higher level of technical expertise and product offerings to you, our valued customers. About a year ago, PPI Group, based in Portland, Oregon and Seattle, Washington areas, became the most recent addition to the TopCon Solutions network. In addition to being a TopCon dealer, this Northwest group brings the products and technical support as well as training of both Autodesk and Bluebeam software solutions. So I hope that clears up a little bit of why the folks in the Midwest and Eastern US are suddenly seeing communication from Portland, Oregon, for which, by the way, is where the TopCon Solutions marketing team is headquartered. So to our friends here in the Northwest, you'll soon be knowing us as TopCon Solutions, with the same local employees and staff you've been working with for many, many years. So now on to today's presentation. A couple of housekeeping notes. The webinar is being recorded and will be distributed to all attendees early next week. If you have questions, please use the questions box on your GoToWebinar menu bar. As a Bluebeam Platinum partner, we have 3 Bluebeam certified consultants on the team, for which I am lucky enough to have 2 of them with me here today for this live broadcast. So Paul Stuva will be manning the questions as they come in, and our presenter for the day is David Campbell. Also in attendance on the webinar, but not here live, or they don't have their audio turned on, but we also, I just want to give a shout out to Vinny Stamato. He's a Bluebeam certified consultant, and Charlie Smith, who is our Bluebeam certified sales consultant. So he's that go-to guy for product and resources and all things Bluebeam. So here in the Portland studio, which is my fancy word for conference room, welcome, gentlemen. As we get started, I'm going to put up on the screen a quick poll to give David a little bit of insight into our audience today. And while I do that, David, I'm going to turn things over to you. And if you wouldn't mind briefly sharing your professional bio or experiences before diving into the presentation.
All right. Thank you very much, Wendy. Hi, everybody. This is David Campbell. So a little bit of my background. I come from a, excuse me, I got a cold today, so feeling a little off, but I come from an architectural background. I was pretty strong in Revit. I started out in AutoCAD, kind of went up into Revit from there, and Bluebeam was the solution to a lot of our document management problems, as well as, you know, collaborating with other individuals on the team and really being able to achieve that paperless workflow, you know, so when we can host all of our markups on that document, bring them all together and see how everyone is communicating and keep that together throughout the life of our project, you know, being able to do that, compare, do an overlay, everything that we can do inside of this program. It just made things a lot easier for us, and it made sense. Now, I will let you guys know that I do have a strong passion for this program and what it can do, and I just hope that, you know, you guys get that as I'm going through this webinar, and kind of helps you guys feel the same way about this. It is a very intuitive program, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to get into review here.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. We've had a good good participation. We'll share that here just shortly.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So a lot of us here, when you guys get these big document sets, and I'm sure a lot of you have dealt with this, I'm going to look over here in the thumbnails tab. You'll see that we get documents such as this 48-page sheet set that come in with no information, right? I got to get in my thumbnails, and I'm trying to go ahead and go through my sheets, but I see these little page labels down here, right? This number 1 down here. The problem with these are you can't really pull any information from it, right? I mean, it doesn't really associate itself too much with the drawing, and it takes me a lot of time to try and go through these and figure out exactly which sheets I need. Well, with auto mark, so you'll see create page labels up here, this allows me to go ahead and essentially just, I'm gonna hide that control panel there, essentially just tell Revu what information am I going to look for when I'm naming these sheets, when I'm pulling up my smart labels. So what I'm going to do is grab a page region there, and I'm going to go ahead and add this because I'm fancy sometimes, and I want to go ahead and add my sheet title in with it. So I want to know my sheet name as well as my sheet number. I'm going to give it a little bit of space there so I can make sure I grab all of these, and then I'm going to just hit OK, right? Now, you can have it go through the entire page, the entire document, or you can specify if you want to go ahead and set it to a certain number. So you'll notice that it did go through and pulled all of that information within seconds for me, right? So one of the things I've heard about this, though, is what if I get sheets that are different, like title blocks, things like that, and there may be different sizes? That's where we go ahead and essentially specify what page range. So you can go through, hold down Control, select these different sheets, and run your page label there. You know, run your page labels for the next ones, things like that, and then keep going. It helps us keep this kind of nice, quick workflow. So I've got this document all put together for those auto marks, right? But still, navigating through this document is kind of a pain. I mean, it's cool. I can click through my thumbnails here, but if I need to see my detail like this one here, I would essentially need to try and figure out which one was 8.14. So scroll down, find my 8.14 in here, and then go ahead and click on that. And really, that's cool, but sometimes it honestly that takes too much time. So you'll see here I have a construction set B. This one here is all tied together with what are called hyperlinks, okay? And what these hyperlinks are going to do is give me allow me to navigate through my sheet set easily. So I'll see this detail for my door here, and bam, I'm right in it, right? So why don't we go ahead and run that here? Now, I'm going to let you know this feature is a extreme only feature, but this is the batch link, okay? So this is the batch link feature. Now, take note here that it says new and open, okay? When I go to create this new, I'm going to go ahead and add my open files here. I'm going to uncheck my first document there. But it said open there because you'll see here that what we can do is actually export these settings that I'm going to go ahead and show you right here. So I'm going to pull up my page region again, and this time I'm just going to tell it that I want to look for these sheet numbers, right? There's my region. Now you're going to see from my scan preview up here, right? It's going to go ahead and tell me what it's looking for in these sheets. Now, if you know this information kind of changes as far as, man, I don't need to see that G0.01, I just want to see G0. What I can do essentially is apply a filter to this. Maybe I want to see first from start, and I want to see everything that's before that period there. No, sorry. There we go. That period, and there we go. So there's the G0, okay? So we can apply these filters and really essentially drive down to what you're looking for or what you need. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to generate here. You click generate, and Revu is going to do all the heavy working for me here with adding those hyperlinks. And you'll see I can go ahead. I'm going to get into my link options here. Now, again, if you are using this quite often, you're doing this quite a bit, don't be afraid to save this configuration, right? Save configuration or export this information. So then next time when I'm ready to go, all I have to do, and I'm just going to save it here as batch link typical. Cool. There we go. Now when I get ready to run back into this again, I go open. There it is. So I'm going to go into link options real quick just to make sure I harp on this. With the include appearance properties, make sure that you guys are using this, okay? If you don't pay attention to this, you uncheck it, you're going to notice you're going to have a fully hyperlinked set, but you're not going to be able to see any of them. So that kind of makes things a little difficult there. Another one here, case sensitive. All right, so if you guys are running these links and are running this batch link essentially, and you're not coming up with any of the results, make sure you want to check for these whole words only and case sensitive here, okay? But I'll go ahead and say okay there and run. Now, you're going to notice this, it's a 48-page sheet set, right? But it's going to tie it together within seconds there for me. 282 hyperlinks were created right there, and this document is all together and good to go. Look at that, right? Get into one of my sheets here. Now this elevation sheet, there's that 8.14 we talked about, and boom. So look at that. All right. Now this document is essentially ready to go out to my guys in the field or any of my other people that would need to navigate through this. I would go ahead and get this document ready. But let's say, you know what, my striping guys, my parking guys here aren't really going to need all of these other sheets, right? They just need to see maybe my striping plans here. And I don't need to send them this entire document. What I can do is go ahead, stay in my thumbnails tab here, and I'm going to find extract pages, right? So I'll tell it what page range I want. I only want these two options. Do I want to delete these pages out of this existing set here? Do I want to extract them as separate files? What that's going to do is essentially just break those two apart. If I uncheck this, it's going to go ahead and just combine them into a new PDF together for me. But if I check it, you'll notice that I can use that page label that we created over here to name those files. And then if I check this option, of course, it will overwrite those existing files that I have saved there. So I am going to uncheck that. I'm going to go ahead and leave these open files after extraction. And I will make sure, since I did batch link this all together, that I want to update those hyperlinks to relative paths. That way, if I do need to move this to a different location, I need to save it somewhere else, those hyperlinks will still jive for me. So I'll say OK. I'm going to save it to my disk here. And I'm going to call this my striping plan. All right, check it out. There we are. All right. So we're good to go there. Now, as far as if I make any updates, you know, things like that, into my construction set here or on my striping plan, if I did go ahead and make some markups, things like that, or I did notice there were some design changes, okay, I can go ahead and let's say, you know what, I got a new sheet here for my A101 or 1.1.1. Again, I'm staying right in this thumbnails tab, and you'll see replace pages, okay? So this is what I'm going to use if I'm trying to bring in different revisions, things like that, okay? So I have my revision here, open, replace that page, and voila, right? It's there. The only problem with that is that, you know, you're not keeping the old sheet within your sets. You're essentially not really tracking that revision. Yes, it's there. Yes, we know it's revision here, but I just lost that sheet inside of here. Now, yes, I could essentially insert that page. That's a potential one. But if I want to do this a little bit smarter and a little easier, and especially if I have multiple sheets to insert, so you'll notice replace pages really only allows me to bring in one at a time kind of thing. But if I go up to batch here, and again, this is a extreme only feature here, but I see slip sheet. So slip sheeting is going to allow me to go ahead and add multiple files in here and slip sheet all of the revisions at one time. So maybe I go ahead and get into a folder here, stand projects, okay. I'll go, oh, get back into here, there we go. There's the right folder. All right, so I find my originals and bring that whole folder in. There we go. And then I'll go ahead and grab my revisions here. Cool. All right. And then I essentially have to tell it, how do I want to match these sheets together? Do I want to use a file name, that page index, the page label, or a page region? Page region essentially is going to be like that auto marking. I got to tell it where to look. So what I can do here is hit select. It's going to open up one of those documents for me. I just tell it where to look. Okay. And I match pages, right? There we go. Now, here's the awesome kind of options here. Do I want to insert these revised pages before my current pages, or do I want to replace these with the revised pages? So I want to keep these in here so I can see kind of what's going on. I'm going to copy my markups from my current pages to that revised pages. That way I'm not losing some of my data there. And any markups that you have flattened, you can go ahead and specify to unflatten them, or go ahead and flatten them after you do that copy. And then, do you want to stamp your current pages with superseded? Okay, so if I say okay here we go. So it's going ahead and bringing all these pages together. And the great thing about this is I have an opportunity to create a detailed report on what I just did. And this is a CSV or PDF, right? And of course, coming into my settings here, do I want to create hyperlinks back to those documents? And then do I want to include those column headers? So I'm going to go ahead and say yes and yes. I'll leave that alone for now, put that right on my desktop and say okay. And guess what? It's going to open up right into Excel for us, right? So now we have this nice trackable document here. Okay. And you'll notice as soon as I hover over these, there it is. They're hyperlinked, and it'll take me right to that document. Cool, right? I told you. A lot of this stuff today, man. It's awesome. Awesome stuff. So, what next? I think we're going to go right over here. Now, so I know I'm kind of flying through this stuff, guys. Again, I really enjoy myself in this program. Sometimes I get a little quick. If you guys have questions, make sure you're posting those up.
And Paul can stop. We can slow this guy down.
Yeah, they can slow me down at any point, you know, kind of get into something if I need to. All right. So up next here, one of the best, well, all of these features are awesome. I'm going to tell you that right now. But one of the best features in here is you'll see right over here this little magnifying glass. This is for search. So typically, yes, I can go ahead and search through. Let me get into my recent files here. I've kind of pinned up some of the documents that I'm going to use today. So it allows me easy access to those documents, right? But let's go ahead and get into search here. And let's maybe say I want to search for forms in my spec sheet here, okay? I say forms. You'll see really quick, it's going to go ahead and knock these out and tell me how many instances I have inside of this document, which is cool. You know, I can go ahead, hyperlink all of these, mark them for redaction, apply a count measurement, highlight, underline, squiggly, and strike through. But you know what? Let's take it a step further. Maybe I want to go ahead and replace that word forms, right? So what we want to do here is I'm going to change this to precast. You know what? Let's, precast forms. And say, okay, check that out, right? Look at that. So there's no kind of distortion of my text. None of my text is overlapping there. Everything is kind of moved around for me. Again, if I click on these, I should be able to find them in here as well. It's just quick. So if you need a quick change, okay, you can make those within the document pretty quickly. Okay, cancel. I'll just come back over into here. All right, so maybe I won't use that one. All right. So on the other side of this, though, not too many people pay attention to this one, the visual search. So we can do a visual search on our sheets. Let's say you're trying to find how many times a valve is being used, or you know what, how many water closets we have on this site. What I can do, again, I can search my entire, you know, just this current document, or let's say an entire folder at one time. So if you have your project all saved together, right, you can go ahead and knock that out for your project. Now I'm going to get in here and I'm going to hit get rectangle real quick. Got to tell it what to look for. All right, here we go. I'm going to draw it right around one of my water closets here. I don't like that one. I'm going to try another one over here. That one's missing some lines. Nope. I'm going to take my sensitivity up There we go. And we're going to hit search. We're going to see what we can find here. All right, so while this is running here, notice this sensitivity bar. So you adjust that sensitivity bar to help you get a few more results, essentially. If you go too high with the sensitivity, you're not going to get that many results. You go lower on the sensitivity, sometimes you get some random lines, things like that. But what's great about it is you just go back, adjust that sensitivity, and essentially fine-tune it to where it's pulling up all of them or almost all of them, right? And I'll show you guys a quick tip and trick on realizing or figuring out which ones it missed. So it's taken a second, but what you should notice is right down here, it's going to go ahead and give us that little percentage letting us know where it's at. And you're not going to see any results until it gets to about 97 or 98% typically. Well, there it's telling me 8 now. Okay, so it's found 14 results so far. That's about 9% of the way through here. Okay. So we're still going to be able to do a lot of different things with these. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of prematurely show this one here. But we would have to check the results that you want to go ahead and work with or manipulate, right? Underneath my check options, the interest here would be applying a count measurement to the checked options. So here I can go ahead and say, you know what, and typically I would go ahead and build a custom utilizing water closets and things like that. But I'll just use the regular default here. All right. And what we'll see, there we go. And if I get into my properties, it's giving me a count of 14 there, right? Now, excuse me, we know that it might have missed a couple, okay? So we look around, we'll see here, and actually, no, looks like it picked them all up for me. Awesome. But let's say I need to go ahead and add to this count, okay? What I can do is right-click on my count, and right here you're going to see resume count. So if it did happen to miss any this time, I could essentially just go through and check on those other options. And when I hit escape to back out of it, again, maybe I'll show it in my markups list as well, it's going to show the updated number there for you, okay? Okay. So there's my count. And you know what's awesome about this as well is when you get down into that markups list, you got that count going. Now is where we could go ahead, switch over to that other profile as far as, you know what, I want to jump into my quantity takeoff profile. I've got some, you know, takeoff and estimation columns built out inside of here where I can go ahead and do a quick estimate or takeoff for my job on those fixtures. So very, very fantastic tool there. I can't even, yeah. All right, yes ma'am.
Do you want to ask that question in case other people have it?
We'll get a little bit of clarification.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let me get back into this one. And again, if you guys have any questions over what I'm going through, please post those up, and we'll get to you as soon as we can. So I'm going to get back into my recent files here, and notice I'm using this file access a little bit or quite a bit here. I can choose to go through my recent files, actually go into a file explorer, but which our file explorer is kind of nice. It allows us to go ahead and sort through a lot of our different folders and find just your PDF files, things like that. What I really like though, and you'll see in this recent files, that I've actually pinned and kind of categorized some of the documents I knew I was going to use today. So this keeps them up here for that quick access. You know, essentially these recent files, as you open more and more as they get dated, they're going to go ahead and fall off. But if you know that you're utilizing documents quite a bit, pin them here. All you got to do is a quick, simple click here on the pin file, and then you can place these up here. Now, notice under pinned here, and I got this module 5 document. If I click on this folder, notice that it brings up the entire folder for me and gives me access to all of those documents. That's a pretty nice feature if you have your project documents hosted in one folder and you need quick access to those. Or maybe some typical RFIs, submittals, or any type of forms that you guys typically work with. You can essentially pin and save it to your interface here. I'm going to get into and open up this A1.1 here. You know what? I'm also going to go ahead and close all of these other tabs here real quick. If you guys didn't know about that, you can right click over here and you'll find close other tabs. That'll kind of clean those up for you real quick. Oh, no, close out of it. There we go. All right. So I have my A1.1.1 and my revision. Now, sometimes, like on here, it's kind of hard to tell what they might have done if there's no clouding or no revision cloud, something they've tagged, letting us know what they've done. So in review, we can go ahead and find within our document tools up here, compare and overlay, right? Compare and overlay. Compare is great, and I mean, so is overlay. But what compare is going to do is essentially cloud all of the differences or revisions between our two documents, right? So I'm going to make sure, there's my original, and here's my Rev 1. Cool. Now, mine are going to line up perfectly. I know I printed these PDFs off here, but if you guys don't, like essentially if somebody doesn't print to 100% zoom, right, they print off scale, something like that, different size title blocks, you can still utilize this compare or overlay with the manual alignment here on select window or pick points, right? So that feature is definitely there. Also, under the advanced options here, I can essentially tell it, since I am comparing, I am going to get clouds. So I can tell it what color of clouds I want to go ahead and place on here. If I want a specific fill color, changing the opacity, things like that, what the subject of my markup is going to be. So I'm going to leave it as revision here. And do I want these applied to a new set of or a new copy of document A, which is my original, or do I want it to a new copy of document B, right? I'm going to leave it on document A. But right down here, so what this is it's going to create that new copy of document A and put all of our clouded differences essentially on that doc, and it's going to go ahead and name that document with this file suffix, so diff, okay? I say okay, and I go ahead and let it do its thing. So here's my different document here, and you know what? I'm going to make sure, which I do, I have my sync on so I can scroll through these documents at the same time, kind of seeing what's going on. Obviously, there's a build out there that we didn't have in our original, okay? And we have, oh, well, that one looks like just the line type changed. But it's crazy how it can actually get that into it, right? It searches down into this PDF content and will tell you everything that is changed here. So it's a pretty fantastic feature. Yes, sir.
Matt is asking, how do you toggle the sync?
Oh, how do you toggle the sync? That's a great question. So up in View, you click up in your View tab, and you're gonna see Synchronize Document or Synchronize Page. So we can choose to synchronize just the entire document or one page at a time. Okay. And that's a very, very awesome feature, especially if you guys are looking at split screens like this. Or if you did choose to try, if you didn't run compare, just to get a quick overview of what's going on, you can use this split vertical here and kind of go around, and this will, using that sync feature, it'll give you a quick way to kind of go around and see what's going on. Now, I wanted to run that one again here real quick and show you what this select window here. So pick point, select window, that is for a manual alignment. But let's go ahead and say, you know what, I know there's a change on this document here, and it's a big change and affects me, and I want to concentrate on this area. I would use that select window and then say okay, and go ahead and just put those in the same place as my first document. And there we go. It'll cloud the differences of just that area, okay? All right. Yep.
When you have a moment.
Yes, sir.
We got a lot of questions regarding what version of review you're working with.
Okay.
And also why the tabs might not align with the default settings.
Why the tabs might not align
different profiles. And
yeah. Okay, got you. Okay, so I am using the 2018 Extreme Edition. So it's 2018.3 is the most recent update that I'm using. Some of the tabs, things like that, you may be noticing might not be in the same locations. all of these tabs are, and your interface is completely customizable. So if I wanted to bring my file access, I can allow it to go ahead and float. So I do have that capability for multi-monitor support there, or drag it over so I can utilize both of my panels like you would in 17. But I don't have to with 18 here. I can go ahead and just utilize this one side here so I can maximize my screen real estate. But also, all of your options as far as your toolbars here, your toolbars down here, the placement of your tabs, what tabs you have shown, as well as some of these columns in our markups list, a lot of this is going to be essentially placed the way it is because of your profile. These profiles, you'll see as I change to maybe field issues here, it's going to change quite a bit as far as what I'm seeing here for my toolbars here, the placement of my tabs, and again, that markups list, as well as the tool chest, okay, then the tool sets that I'm seeing available there. So if I get back into my review profile, and those are completely customizable, they are exportable, so if you guys did want to standardize the way that your interfaces are laid out, things like that, you can utilize those profiles. They are a very fantastic tool here in review. Good. All right, cool. So moving on, we're going to go right into that overlay, right? So I kind of spoke about this one briefly. Now, so check this out. 2 documents here, right? But I have the capability to go ahead and keep adding. So I can continue adding revisions of documents for this overlay pages, whereas with compare, I can only run 2 documents at a time. Not 2 pages, 2 documents, okay? So with the overlay pages, you guys are going to see the colors here. What this is saying is that overlay is essentially like placing your documents on top of each other over like a light table. So if you've ever done that, you can go ahead and notice that it's going to assign each one of these documents a colored layer. And then we should be able to see the changes based off of that. So I'm going to go ahead and again, if you don't have that matching title block or the zoom, whatever, the scale, you can manually align your points here. But I'm going to go ahead and say OK. All right. And it's going to go ahead and knock it out for us. So look at that. All right. Just look at it. All right. It's all laid out there. See all of our dimensions, all of our changes. Fantastic. And quick, right? And again, we have that separate document there to go ahead and save so we can track all of our different revisions that are happening within our jobs. So overlay and compare, fantastic tools, right? But again, you're a little limited when you go to do that compare documents, since we can only do 2 documents at a time. If you wanted to go ahead and increase that, we're again looking at the extreme version here, but we're looking at batch, compare, and overlay. So with batch compare, I can go ahead, bring in multiple files at one time, and go ahead and slip in those revised files. So let's go with a folder. Sweet. All right. You know what? I went to the wrong file location again. All right. There's all those. Oh, I just need to click on it and say OK. Too much clicking. All right. There we go. And then find my revisions here. All right. And again, you can do that whole page region, matching them by things like that. And I'd hit select there and essentially tell it, all right, where are we looking? There we go. All right, A1.1.1 there. And go ahead and match my pages. All right, so here we go. It's bringing it out. I do have some advanced options again because I am doing that document comparison as to what do I want to do with those markups. Do I want to make them red, adjust that opacity, all that kind of stuff. And I'm just going to go ahead and say, let's do it. All right, takes a couple seconds here, but we're spinning up. Awesome, there we go. Now, again, we do have that, and we're not going to name this one slip sheet. All right, and this time I'm going to go ahead and put this into PDF. We went into CSV last time. Let's see what a PDF looks like, huh? And then again, with our settings, if you're creating a PDF, we can create hyperlinks. Go ahead and date timestamp on there. Specify what page size you want to do this at, right? Say OK. And all right, now we're going to get a little printout here, and I can again click through this and see exactly what was changed in terms of with my compare docs. Okay. See my A1.1 there, everything like that. So we're good to go. All right. All right, so again, some fantastic features there, fantastic, right? And they make document management quite a bit easy. Now there are a lot more features. I could honestly go on with you guys with this probably for the rest of the day, but we're going to go ahead and switch gears here. And yep.
I got Sean asking, does the page search for titles only work on exported PDF documents or scanned as well?
Okay, so for a scanned document, you need to utilize Bluebeam's OCR feature, so the optimal character recognition. So Revu works or utilizes vector graphics. Okay, a lot of times when you're printing out of like Adobe Revu, they're gonna be searchable. Okay, if we're printing them from Revu, PDF, things like that. But if you're scanning these documents, they default to those vector graphics. So we need a way to go ahead and convert those to make them searchable. So that's what the OCR function does for us. Now, before I go on from that, the OCR is a Bluebeam Extreme version only feature. Okay, but we do also have the batch OCR, which that functionality is if you have a lot of scanned documents or multiple documents, you want to go ahead and run that OCR at one time, you can.
And then what was the different color markups when comparing docs on the batch?
Okay, so the different colored markups, those were just markups that I placed on these sheets before. So if I get into my Rev 1, oh, no, wrong one. Get into that other Rev 1 here, essentially. They're just, they're really just comments and things like that I'd placed on the sheets. The nice thing about the compare is that it'll tell us all of those different changes, but also let us know kind of what's going on with those markups. But you're going to see all of the compare markups would be red. Those are all going to utilize that red property that I assigned to it here. So, and it's always going to be a cloud unless I uncheck this here, but it'll put up those little clouds with a red fill to it. All right, cool. All right. So here we go. I'm going to go back up. You know what? Nah. I'm going to utilize this again right over here. All right. Sweet. Opens right up for me. Now, again, going back to those vector graphics and raster graphics, and you know what? I was wrong. It is raster graphics, not vector. Man. Woo! So when you scan,
blame it on the cold.
Yes, blame it on the cold, right? When you scan a document, it defaults to raster graphics. I apologize, not vector. Bluebeam is utilizing vector graphics, so it's the scan documents default to raster, and that's what converts them. Anyways, so we'll go back up into my tools here, and I'm going to get going into the industry-leading markups, right? And I mean, a lot of you guys know or have heard of Bluebeam for these markups, right? You're going to see we can utilize our text box. We have a call out, pen tools, lines, your polylines, dimensions, your cloud plus, right? So something with my text box here, I mean, it's nice, it's quick. I'll get into my properties, and I can adjust or utilize any of the different properties here. Okay. There we go. All right. And then I can adjust my text box here as far as, you know what, I need to change my text color there. And I'm going to drop it down in size to a more manageable. All right. But now that it's I've changed my text, my box around it is huge. So let's go ahead and auto size that thing real quick. Yep, I just did that. See, right click, auto size. All right.
That
cool. That just happened. And it was so quick. So back up to our tools. That text box is pretty fantastic. you are going to see that we can change our line styles. You can change that shape. So if you want to utilize a circle or a triangle, something like that, maybe marking up, noting your revisions, things like that, you can utilize that option there. And then, no, we're not going to look at the custom one there. But if I am knowing that I'm going to utilize this over and over again, here down in my options, I can go ahead, set this to my tool chest, or if you know that you know your text box is never going to change, you don't need to adjust these properties every single time, you just set it as your default right down here. Okay, so back up to these markups, right? Here's my call out. My call out is a essentially it's a text box with a leader already attached to it, right? What I can do here is maybe, okay, see spec sheet, right? And then attach my spec sheet to this markup essentially. Or maybe I wanted to go ahead and say, let's find another one down here. And you know what? This time I'm going to utilize my Cloud Plus. So the Cloud Plus is going to be one of the most frequently used here. And you'll see that it's going to be a revision cloud with a call out or text box attached to it. Okay, so maybe we have a change somewhere with that urinal there. I can go again and auto size that text box, and I notice my rectangle isn't coming around. So when you notice that you place your text box, any Cloud Pluses, things like that, and you're not seeing those rectangles, make sure you're checking out your line width here. As soon as we adjust that line width, it's going to snap for us. Or a quick way to do it is to just really click on rectangle and bring it up and then click it again. Okay, now I don't like how this one's adjusting for me there, so I'm going to go ahead and auto size that again, get it to snap for me. Okay. Now, with these markups, there's quite a bit of functionality or additional functionality we have. So maybe again, I have my guy walking in the field, and he's checking out my building here, and he says, you know what? There's a huge crack in this wall. We need to fix that, okay? But you know what? He needs to go ahead and make sure that the people in the office understand what's going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and just utilize that right there for you. There we go. And auto size. Okay, but he needs to go ahead and let people in the office, or let anyone know who's going to read this PDF after this, kind of an idea of what's going on. So you notice I can right click on that markup there, and I'm going to go to capture. So the awesome thing about this is if your device has a camera on it, so if you're out in the field, you have an iPad or Surface Pro, Chromebook, things like that, you can go ahead and take pictures right from the field and attach them to your markups. Or if you're doing it back from the office like I am here, I can go ahead and get into one of my folders here and find my images. Cool. And here's my wall cracks. I'm going to bring up both of those. Cool. I'm going to click on my little image there, and there we go. Check it out, right? Awesome. And it's attached right to that markup. Okay. Seconds. Now,
what version do you need in the field for that?
You just need the standard version to be able to do that. Okay. Any version of Revu will attach pictures to those. Oh, and also, by the way, before I move on, it's pictures, 360-degree photos, as well as videos that you can host with those markups. Okay. Excuse me. All right. So essentially, you notice that if I go into the, let's use a call out for this one, and maybe say I want to go ahead and refer this. Okay, A3.2. So what I can do is I want to go ahead and set up a hyperlink so that somebody, when they click on this, it takes them right to that sheet. So what I can do here again is right click on that, and you're going to see edit action. So anyone that has worked with hyperlinks before, you know that this is essentially our hyperlink dialog box. Okay, so I'm getting ready to tell this, where do I want to go? Do I want to go ahead and jump to a specific portion, maybe a different document, or do a page, a specific page within my current document? Or, you know what? Do I want to create what's called a place? a place will allow me to go ahead and refer to a specific portion, or like maybe my men's room, my electric room, things like that. And I can utilize this hyperlink to refer back to that place multiple times within my document. A space here, a space is another tool over here in our tabs over there that utilizes or gives us the ability to track information going on in those spaces, right? So I can track all the markups. If I'm doing my punch walk, I can go ahead and place a space for each one of my rooms and track all of the punches or all of the markups, things that are going on within that one space, okay? And then on a note there, if you are printing from Revit, you do have the CAD version of Bluebeam Revu. If your people are printing from Revit, utilize that Bluebeam add-in to go ahead and create your spaces automatically from your rooms, right? That just makes sense. You can carry all that information in, and it's all there for you. So that those add-ins, as far as for Microsoft Office, CAD, Revit, that come with the Bluebeam CAD version, are awesome and do save you a lot of time. So heading back into this, you'll see we got the snapshot view, right? Snapshot view is if I want to go ahead and snap right to a specific portion of a sheet, any type of sheet. So I'm just going to utilize that one to show how it works real quick. You're going to see it's going to snap right to that location. Now, obviously, it's not beneficial here for me. So I'm going to go ahead, get back in, edit that action. And what I can do, again, is hyperlink here. This is going to take me to a website, a web address, all right? And then open is if I needed to go ahead and maybe open up the change order, attach that change order, an RFI, submittal, or a form, anything like that to these markups, right? It's going to populate with that little hyperlink symbol down there. And your user could essentially click on that hyperlink that you have made, and it would open up that document for them in another tab. Okay. Now, there are so many different markups in here too, guys. I could go on all day about those. Even the line tool, the ability to create your custom line styles or custom line types. If I did want to go ahead and create maybe a roadway or maybe a hot water line or a solid sewer septic line, anything like that. Or you know what, I'm just tracing conduit around my plan, or any piping, things like that. Underground lines, anything like that. We can create our own custom line styles here, which that is a fantastic tool as well. So if you guys have any questions on that, be sure to go ahead and ask us later. But I'm going to go ahead and move on to the measure tools, right? So the measure tools, again, these are fantastic. You will have to calibrate your drawing first. Always calibrate your drawing. And I will, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, I will not utilize the typing in of the scale here, just because when you notice when you go to type in your scale, you're gonna be a little off. I will always recommend to try and find a known dimension, okay, 2 points with a known dimension on your sheet, and then go ahead and grab that off. So I've already stored my scale in this page. It remembers it, right? I do this once, I calibrate it, I save it, it's there. I don't have to do it again. And then if my scale is the same on all those other pages, I can just apply it quickly and then go through. So just to double check here, I've already got a length measurement on there, but we can go ahead, just run another quick one here. And make sure you're utilizing your shift key here when you guys are doing this. It's going to hold that measurement straight for you, okay? I know sometimes it's hard to kind of snap to those, and you can get off with a couple inches typically if it angles on you, things like that. So the ones I was going to maybe try to concentrate on, I showed you that length measurement down there. It was very nice. Your poly length. So this one here is great if you're trying to maybe trace any type of, or follow any type of conduit, piping, underground wiring, anything like that, right? Excuse me. So what we'll see is that I just click here, I'm clicking, I'm drawing around, okay? I will double click to end it. So check it out. All of my individual segments are broken out for me and giving me those distances or lengths, and I have the overall here. But wait, there's more. So we get down into our markups list down here, right? And now I don't have this one populated yet, So I'm going to go ahead and get into my columns here. I'm going to get rid of a couple of these other ones here because I really want to get to this rise and drop there. Okay, because that's where this poly length measurement kind of stands out. So what you'll notice is now it's saying a 0, but what I want to do is maybe go ahead and apply a 1 foot rise. Come here, 1, there we go. 1 foot rise over the course of my entire line. There we go, check it out. It incorporates it in and recalculates for me automatically. So if I know I have a floor to floor height or ceiling to floor height, whatever, of 1 foot, however, you can adjust it there. We also do have a slope function, but the rise and drop here is going to work explicitly with that poly length tool. And also, let me find my settings here. We do have a few different line styles here as basic line styles here to utilize with that poly length tool. All right, area, man, area is where it's at if you're trying to get your square footages, right? So another big thing here is that you guys are going to notice that my cursor is snapping right to my portions of my wall, right? And I mean, as detailed as you guys get inside of Revit or something like that, you have your individual layers. This will snap to those layers. If yours isn't snapping, let's make sure that you guys are on view here. You want to make sure you're utilizing that snap to content and snap to markup, okay? And if that's not making you feel all nice and fuzzy, here we go. We got a show grid, okay? You can go ahead, utilize that grid pattern there, and we can get into our preferences to adjust how that, let me get here into my grid and snap here, general grid snap, and here's where I can adjust my grid spacing, right? And then there's all my snaps as well, so I can turn those on and off. Oh, snap. I did that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that show grid there, all right? But with that area tool, there we go, area, and I'm going to do just a quick one here. It's kind of cheating, I know. I'm going to grab this janitor's room, check it out, 56 square feet, right? All right. Now, also another thing that's nice about these area tools here, I can drive right around, picking my points. Oh, you know what? I'm going to leave that one. I'll come back and just adjust that control point afterwards. It didn't snap to where I wanted it. That's fine. We'll come over there, getting just, there we go. And boom goes the dynamite. So we know this one here is off. I can go ahead, drag it up and over. And I'm going to utilize my shift function here to go ahead and drag that text back down to where I can see it, right? But let's say, you know, I'm utilizing a bunch of different materials on my job, and I want to go ahead and make sure that this looks like 4-inch ceramic tile. So I'm going to put my hatch pattern in there, maybe drop my scale down a little bit. And you know what? Maybe I don't want red. Change it to a green there. Let's go ahead and I'm going to drag it out there a little bit. There we go. Wow, there we go. All right, now we can see it a little bit better. Okay, now the great thing about this is here, if I'm trying to track this as a specific material, I'm going to change this subject here and get rid of that area measurement, and I'm going to call this flooring, right? Maybe apply my label that's going to be 4-inch ceramic tile. Cool. But what's really cool about this, if I go ahead and sort by my subject here, when I find my measurement, right? Here's my area measurement. No, there we go. Check it out. Oh, it's getting kind of hard to see there. Bring this up a little bit more. Oh. I seem to have placed my markups list up there. All right, we'll drag it back down. All right. All right, there we go. So you're going to see that it's now tracking this as flooring, right? Again, area measurement, flooring. So when I go to do a filter here and I say I just want to see all of my flooring on my plan, there we go, right there, right? Or I can do a search, all that kind of stuff. It's customizing those markups, right? Utilizing that subject column is huge for finding the information later. But I don't want to have to remake this tool every single time. I'd like to be able to utilize this and just keep reusing it. So what I can do, right click, add to my tool chest, right? And there we go, voila. I'm going to change this back here, back over to my area tool so I know I can go ahead into my men's room and grab this flooring. Yes, sir.
There's a couple questions for the hatch.
All right.
First off, can you mask the text over a hatch?
Yes. So you can mask or apply a fill color over your hatch so it does stick out better. I know mine's a little hard to see there. So we can go ahead and do something like this here, get into your properties. I can also apply that fill color around to the outskirts of my column or my markup there. I apologize. But what we'll see is that, okay, let me find my fill color. Oh, highlight, okay, something like that. But now my hatch is kind of off. There we go. Right, now we're getting a little bit better. And we can change my text here. Let me see.
I know there's a mask.
Yeah, there was a masking here as far as allowing me to adjust that. I don't know where that one is. Should be. All right, so maybe not. But what we can do is change that. Maybe get rid of just this lighter. So no, it looks like it won't actually put a text box behind there.
Pretty sure we can figure out how.
Yeah, we can figure that out. There's definitely, I'll follow up.
After the webinar.
Excuse me, I'll go ahead and follow up with you there. It can be done. It'll just take me a few minutes to figure that one out. All right, so the volume tool is up next.
Was there other questions about hatch?
Do I have any other?
I'm gonna answer both of them by text.
In the interest of time.
Okay, cool. With the volume tool here, the volume tool, again, this is kind of trippy, right? Because you're like, how do I get a volume off of a 2D PDF? Well, I'm going to show you. So we go around here, we drag it around. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and double click to end that one out. Start that one again. Measure, volume, okay. Oh. All right, stop jumping around on me there. All right.
Well, David's getting ready to set that up. I just want to let everybody know we are at the top of the hour, and so we recognize some of you probably only reserved an hour, and it looks like he's got just a few more things on his list. So we're going to keep running. If you need to jump off, just know that we are recording the full webinar, and it'll be available here just in a couple of days. So we understand if you need to jump off. If not, hang with us, because I think he's got some cool stuff, and he's not out of energy yet.
Yeah, I know it, right? Let's keep on going. Thomas the Train over here. All right, so check it out. With the volume tool here, you know, it's giving me my cubic feet. That's not going to work for me. I want to go ahead and know my cubic yardage there. So I'm going to go ahead and say I need an independent unit here, and I'm going to change my volume down to a cubic yard, right? And I'm not going to recalibrate that. There we go, 41 cubic yards for me. Sweet. Now, how is it getting that measurement, right, off this 2D PDF? That's loading for me here. How is it getting this measurement for me on a 2D PDF? Well, that's because of the magic of my markups list here. So if we find our depth column, we'll see here depth, and I'll drag this one out so I can see a little bit better. Okay, and it's saying right now it's got me at 8 feet. Of course, that one's not going to work. So we're going to go ahead and adjust this down to 0.5. I'm going to give it a 6-inch slab there, and there we go for my 3 cubic yards. Again, I can utilize my hatch with this. Maybe put like a concrete hatch pattern on there, something like that. Go ahead and utilize or change my subject to become something of concrete, and I could say this is my 2500 PSF, 3500 PSF, whatever you want to go ahead and call it, these labels, to be able to go ahead and search and filter down for specific information within your markups list, and then again with estimating and all that kind of stuff. All right. So, all right, and cool. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this one. I'm not going to save it. I'm going to go ahead and come back here, close those other tabs, and get out of there. So I believe this is kind of the time everybody's been waiting for, right? Studio projects and sessions. So I'm going to go through a demo of each one of these a little bit. and kind of go through what their features are, things like that, how to adjust permissions, all that kind of stuff. So with a studio session, so I'll start off with a studio session. A studio session is online real-time collaboration, okay? Now, a side note, not every user has to be on at the same time to mark this document up. You can take it offline, place your markups, and at any point in time, go ahead and go back online, and your markups will go ahead and sync to that the cloud copy or that hosted copy on your session. So I'm going to go ahead and get into this. On a quick note, though, your ID over here, this 810732, this is the studio ID number. Every project and session are assigned a unique studio ID number. So you guys can go to, hey, I need to join up here, and then I would go ahead and type in that specific studio ID number, all right? So that is one way of joining those sessions or projects. The other one is getting an emailed invitation. So inside of my first session here, you're going to notice this is your home screen, right? I have my leave session, finish session. There is a big difference there, guys. So you want to make sure before you get button happy. Leaving this session allows us to essentially step out and do everything else we got to do and then come back in at any point in time. If you finish this session, that's it. It goes bye-bye, all right? It will print you out a nice little report, though, at the end of it, and I will show you this as well. So we're going to have a full list of all of our attendees here. Okay, so you'll see a couple of these guys are offline, and a list of all of our documents. So if I get into my 1.2 second floor reference plan here, it's going to go ahead and post up all of the markups that were made on this document. Now, my markups list is also tracking all of this information, but I do have a nice little record here that's tracking all of the activity in my session as far as who comes in, what time they came in, what time they left, what markups they placed. Also has a little handy dandy chat box down here, right? So I have my chat box here. I can place hello everyone in there, and there it is, right? But I know if I go to print off this record or this report here, maybe I don't want everybody to see that interoffice chat, that interoffice communication I got going on there. So what I can do is choose to filter this down further and say, you know what? I don't want the chat to go ahead on my final report. They don't need to see that. Okay, so I can turn those on and turn those off. One of the great things about sessions, guys, is that so you're collaborating in real time, right? But you'll notice if I select maybe this markup here, I can adjust this markup. That's because this markup is placed by me. If I go to adjust this markup, I'll bring up my author column here. All right, I cannot adjust this markup because it is placed by someone else, okay? So you have full accountability in this session. Once somebody makes that markup, right, you can adjust it. You, the person who made it, will be able to. Anyone else? No, it's on there. But what's awesome, here we go. We got some activity going. Yeah, see that? Look at that. So all of this, and I mean, this is, like I said, kind of real-time collaboration, right? So this is all happening right now, and it's fantastic. We can have up to 500 people working with us in one session, up to 100 documents of up to 100 megabytes apiece. But the drawback here, it's 2D and 3D PDFs only, okay? So we're going to be looking at PDFs with our session here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and print off this report here real quick, and I'm going to show you guys what this is going to look like. And I'm just going to go with record summary for time's sake. So actually, we got some activity going on over there, and he's placing markups. All right, I'll place this here, and there's my studio report, right? A nice little printout of all the activity that has been happening within my session. So get back into my session here, and kind of going back to what's going on, you can still, hello. So And you see he just placed that. It's going to populate for us right there. Awesome, right? You can still filter through all of those different markups, pull all that information, everything like that you guys need to do. And if I get up in a studio here, nope, not that one. We're going to get, there we go, studio demo and settings, right? This is where I can go ahead and start adjusting who my attendees are and what permissions I'm giving them. Now, you can allow them to save as, print, markup alert, you know, add documents, give them full control, which is going to change all of this to allow, okay? So it's a pretty basic permissions here, but it's nice. And what we can do is actually adjust these either per attendee or based on a group. So I can go ahead and maybe add additional members to some of the typical contractors I work with and add them, all of their typical users here in a group, and assign those permissions as such, okay, on a group basis there. If I need to send out more invitations, I can always go here. Here's where I can go ahead and upload some of those new documents. Now, check this out, guys. I'm going to go ahead. I like it. I'm going to go ahead and take this offline for a second, right? I take this document offline, again, markup, bring that Cloud Plus over here. Just draw something over here. Cool. And then you're going to see that little cloud symbol down there. As soon as I come back online, it'll take a second. There it is. Logs me joining back in, and my markup has been adjusted and added or synchronized to that cloud document. Right. So it's on point. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and leave this session, right? I'm going to leave out of this session real quick and step away. All right, I'm going to get away from the studio demo report and go into a project. So I'm going to just be straight here. I personally have seen a lot of workflows from sessions and projects start in projects. Why? So we'll take a look out at the layout here. Look. We're going to check out this layout here. What you'll notice in a project is that you can break it down per folder, right? So you have a complete project folder structure here. In a project, so this is going to be quite different from your typical session type thing. What we're going to see is that individuals would check in and check out documents, okay? So the folder structure here, they can check in, check out documents. You can host any amount of documentation. There is no file size limit and no file type limit. So if I get into my, let's see, I'll find my specifications here. So I have my Word documents and PDFs, Excel spreadsheets, it does not matter. You can host them all here, okay? So we can host all of our project documentation, any amount of people, any amount of documents, doesn't matter. So what happens from here? You guys are kind of thinking, how can I utilize this, right? Well, one of the things that we'll see is, let me get into this design team folder here, get into my sheets, and maybe my reference plan here. This is kind of new to 18 as well. You're going to see this new layout, as well as the ability to open in a split view. Okay, so I can still kind of keep an idea or keep an eye on what's going on in my project while in this document. Now, if I go to markup on this document, everything is grayed out to me. Why? Right here. I need to go ahead and check out this document, right? Once I check this document out, then I can go ahead, there we go, tools, markup, and there they are, right? Now, this leads itself to a great talking point. Once we check that document out, and I go to check that back in, it creates what's called a revision, right? So it's keeping a revision for me, and I can track that revision history. See how many times anything has changed in this document and keep this updated. Not only can I do that, I can go ahead and open or restore a previous revision, right? So fantastic. I can keep an idea on what's going on. See, you know what? Charlie got in here and placed way too many markups. Charlie, we're not trying to do all that. I'm going to go ahead and restore a previous revision. I'm going to roll that back, okay? So you have that full control. But here we go. When I right click on these documents here, check that out. Add to new session, right? Add to new session. Projects gives you the ability to host all of your project documentation. Host it all right here. And then when you're ready, when you need to collaborate with 4, 5, 6, or 500 people, okay, you can take your documentation from this project into a session. Once you do that, you would be able to update your project documentation from that session. Okay, so we can keep updating our project copies. That way everybody else in the project involved in it can keep an eye on what's happening. They know what's going on as far as what changes have been made, any comments placed, all that kind of stuff. Now, one big thing is here, excuse me, and this is huge for a project, right? What we'll see is that, of course, you have your general permissions, which again, we can place them by attendees or group. Send invitations, manage user access, manage permissions, that's a big one. Sending PDFs to sessions, revoking that checkout. So if somebody's got that document for like 2 weeks and they have not updated your project copy, they're not communicating with you, go ahead and revoke that checkout, bring that document back in, and let somebody else go ahead and mark up on it. Then we have the share file links in full control. But let's get deeper than that, right? Folder permissions. Because we're in a project and we drop this down per folder, we can adjust our permissions on each individual folder to allow individuals to either read, write, delete, or completely hide them, right? So if you have different contractors or any people that you're collaborating with coming into the actual project here, you can assign them permissions based on that folder structure to those documents, okay? Which is very nice, keeps that nice controlled feeling there. You guys have a lot of control in projects, quite a bit more than you have within a session. Then you can also take those documents into the session, right? One big one I did want to go ahead and talk to you guys about is restrict users here. If you have this option checked in a project or a session, this means that whoever goes to access or join this project has to receive an emailed invitation first. They have to receive that emailed invitation in order to access it. So if they go join and try to type in the studio ID number, unless they click into that email notification first, they won't get into it. So if you uncheck this, this allows anyone to go ahead and type in that ID number and join in with your project or session. All right, so does anybody have any questions for me as far as the project sessions, any workflow, or kind of any features that maybe I didn't cover? I know we just got a couple minutes and we're running over a little bit already, but anybody have any questions for me out there?
In the meantime, while people are getting those last minute questions in, we are going to try and wrap things up here. But I want to put up, if we could, real quick. Looks like there's nothing coming in. So put up how to get in touch with us. So there's all the contact information. So if you're interested in the product or having your subscription evaluated or looked at, there's the Bluebeam sales number, and this is for TopCon Solutions. This isn't going direct to Bluebeam. So you'll reach Charlie on that, and then the Bluebeam support that goes into our software dedicated number for support and training or consulting. So that gets our technical team. Looks like maybe there's a couple of questions we'll address before signing off here, right?
Yep. So one of the questions is asked by Matt Young, and he wanted to know, can you enter slope for that polyline measurement?
The poly length measurement?
Poly length, can you enter it as a % slope?
Oh, as a percentage. So I'm guessing there you're essentially changing. I wonder if we can't. That's a fantastic question, actually. Let me see if I can't get in there and find that one. So if I get into my poly length measurement here, that's not, it's going to be, okay. Can I adjust the
Change the units.
slope to units. Slope units here. Measurements. Independent units. Slope. I think that we might actually be able to adjust slope. I'm wondering which one. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say yes, you can adjust what you're seeing as far as your slope for the precision or the units here. I'd have to dive into this one a little bit more to see, because your poly length works explicitly with that rise and drop here. It's not really wanting to give me an option to work with slope. So I don't think that one's going to associate. The slope there is going to be that rise and drop. And we can adjust that one as far as what we're seeing is feet inch, or if you do want to see your different units, essentially, as far as what we're reading inside of our, so you need to recalibrate and change the units.
Okay, so maybe we'll take that offline. And unfortunately, we are out of time. We do have your questions recorded here. So the team, Paul and David and Vinny, will be reviewing these and reaching out to individuals whose questions we did not address during the live broadcast here. So we are going to have to, unfortunately, end this. But we've got a lot more Bluebeam webinars coming up. So watch our website, watch your email. And as always, if you want to put our contact information, reach out to us anytime, and we'll make sure that we're assisting you in your business needs. So again, I'm Wendy Finch with TopCon Solutions, joined with Paul Stuva and David Campbell, and we are thrilled to have you join us today. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.